We're going to have a look at expanding some more algebraic expressions, but we're going to go even further than the single brackets that we did previously. If we had something like this, 2a and then in brackets a plus 3b, the way we expanded that was we did 2a times the first term, so 2a times a becomes 2a squared, and then we also did 2a times the second term, so that became plus 6ab. Thinking about sign, number, letter there. What if instead of having 2a in front of the brackets, we actually had two things that wanted to multiply with a and 3b? So let's adjust this question. What if instead 2a was in a bracket of its own and it was with a squared? Well, this 2a still wants to multiply with this a and this 3b. But we've also got this a squared that wants to join in. This a squared also wants to multiply with this a and this 3b. So to be able to do this and to keep our working out in order and make sure we don't accidentally forget to do things, we remember this helpful word FOIL. Now, what does FOIL stand for? The F stands for first, and it's not just because we do it first. It says we're going to multiply the first two terms from each bracket. So the first two terms from each bracket. If we had this set of brackets down here, the first term of the first bracket is A, and the first term of the second bracket is C. So this would be the first thing we'd do, and that's the F of FOIL. Now, the second part of FOIL says outer, so we want to multiply the two outer terms from each bracket. You could also think of it as the outside terms. So the two outside terms are the ones that are the furthest out in this problem. And those two are A and D for this bracket here. So that's outside. Then the next one, we're going to multiply the two inner terms from each bracket. So say when we look at all these brackets, which two terms are the most inside? Well, that's going to be B and C. So that's our inside or inner. And then, most appropriately, we're going to multiply the last term from each bracket. And we do that last. So we're going to multiply the B and the D. And that's our last step there. So if you remember FOIL here, you'll be able to expand a double set of brackets. Now, before we go into this example, if we actually did FOIL this bracket here, let's have a look at what that would actually be. If we multiply the first term, remember following the blue line, that would be A times C. So that would become, let's put an equal sign, A times C is AC. And then when we do the outside, that's A times D, and that's a plus. Positive A times positive D, so plus AD. If we do the inside now, that's plus B times C, so plus BC. And when we do the last, B times D is plus BD. So that's the process we're going to apply each time. It also is important, we're going to have times where we're going to simplify. So that means we need to keep a lookout for like terms. So let's give that a go. First example here, we've got x plus 3 in brackets and x plus 5 in another set of brackets. There's an invisible multiplied sign here in between the brackets. So when we FOIL, we're always thinking multiplying. So what did FOIL stand for again? Well, first off, we do the first term in each bracket. So it's going to be x times x. X times x is just x squared. That's our F of FOIL. Now we're going to do the outside, O of FOIL. So the outside terms, x times plus 5. So that's going to be plus 5x. Now we're going to go ahead and do our inside. So our inside will be plus 3 times x, so plus 3x. And then lucky last, we do our last terms in each bracket. And that will be 3 times 5. It's positive, so 3 times 5 is 15. Now you might be tempted to go to the next question, but what do you notice here? We have a pair of like terms, 5x and 3x. So writing this in the end, the x squared and the plus 15, they're just going to hang out. And 3x and 5x, that's going to get put together to become 8x. So our final answer there is x squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay, let's look at the next one. We're going to use FOIL again. We're going to do our first term. So that's going to be x times x here. X times x just gives us x squared. We're going to do our outside. So x times negative 2 here. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Now we're going to do our inside. You'll notice I've flipped around where I drew my arrows here, but so long as you follow the order, you'll be fine. So our inside is going to be plus 3 times x, so that's going to be plus 3x. And then our last term is going to be plus 3 times negative 2. So positive times a negative is a negative, 3 times 2 is 6. If you find it helpful to write the word FOIL or draw these arrows, that's perfectly fine. Do whatever you need to do to help you keep it in order. So now we've got negative 2x plus 3x. So putting it all together, x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, let's go ahead and do some more. Remember, we're going to do first, outside, inside, last. And remember, when we FOIL, we're multiplying. So let's do our first. X times x will give us x squared. And then our outside terms will be x times plus 5, which will be plus 5x. Inside, negative 2 times x becomes minus 2x. And then negative 2 times positive 5 will become negative 10. Don't accidentally add or subtract those. Remember, we're multiplying each time. So really remind yourself of that. Now, can we simplify anything? We sure can. We've got a positive 5x and a minus 2x here. So that's going to become x squared plus 3x minus 10. Okay, next one. First, x times x is x squared. X times negative 4, sign number letter, negative 4x. Inside, negative 3 times x will be minus 3x. And then our last, negative 3 times negative 4. Remember those negatives there? Sometimes it's helpful to highlight them. Negative 3 times negative 4 will become a plus 12. Really common error there to accidentally forget our negative times a negative is a positive. Now let's clean this up by simplifying. X squared minus 7x, because we had this lovely minus 4x minus 3x, plus 12. Okay, we've now got 2y plus 1 in brackets times 3y minus 4. It's going to be exactly the same deal. We're just going to follow that same process along. So we're going to do 2y times 3y because that's our first of FOIL. 2y times 3y is going to be 6y squared. Now we're going to do our outside. 2y times minus 4. Let's sign number letter it. It's going to be negative 8y. So we've done our outside. Our inside terms are next. We've got 1 times 3y. So that's going to be plus 3y. And we need to do our last. Lucky last. Positive 1 times negative 4 is minus 4. That's not too bad. We still have some like terms to deal with here though. So we've got 6y squared, doesn't have any like terms. Negative 8y plus 3y is going to be minus 5y. And then minus 4 at the end. Part F looks a little bit different. We've got x plus 3 all in brackets, and that's squared. Now we've done bracketed things before. If we had 2 squared, that was equal to 2 times 2, which was 4. So here's some just thinking on the side of our page. If we had negative 2 all squared, that meant we had negative 2 times negative 2, which was equal to 4 as well. That's a coincidence. So what if we had like a block squared? You might be wondering, what on earth am I talking about? Well, whatever that block was, we would times it by itself. Let's imagine that this set of brackets is a bit like a block. We're going to have whatever that block is times itself. So what was actually inside of that block? It was x plus 3. So let's put that x plus 3 in brackets times itself. Let's take away the boxes we used to imagine this problem. And we've just got x plus 3 times x plus 3. But we don't even need a times sign there. So what we actually had is we had a double bracket question in disguise. What this means is x plus 3 times x plus 3. And what that actually means is a double set of brackets. Let's actually expand this out. So if we do our first, we get x times x is x squared. Outside, x times plus 3 is plus 3x. Inside, plus 3 times x, another plus 3x. And last, positive 3 times positive 3 is 9. So we get x squared plus 6x plus 9. Some people accidentally try and say that this is equal to x squared plus 9, but it doesn't equal that because you'd be missing this beautiful plus 6x, which is absolutely in there. So please make sure that whenever you see a square like this, you realise this is a FOIL question in disguise. Very important. We've got x minus 5 in brackets and then x plus 5 in brackets. So let's go ahead and expand this double bracket set using FOIL. So first is x times x, which will give us x squared. Then we've got outside, x times plus 5 will be plus 5x. Inside, minus 5 times x. Don't forget those negatives. Sometimes it's helpful to highlight them. So minus 5 times x is minus 5x, and then minus 5 times 5 will be minus 25. Remember, we're multiplying. I love these because you'll notice in the middle we've got a plus 5x and a minus 5x. Plus 5x, take away 5x, is going to leave us with 0. So this one is written as x squared minus 25. This final answer is really special because we've got something squared minus something squared. It's something called the difference of perfect squares. And difference is because we've got a subtraction here. So difference of perfect squares. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't be bothered writing that all the time, so we often shorten this to DOPS, difference of perfect squares. These are really, really fun questions, so if you had something like this that's got that plus and a minus, or a minus and a plus, x at the front of both brackets, the same number at the end, you'll always get an answer that looks like this. Okay. Here we're going to get a little bit trickier. We've got x plus 1 to the power of 3. Remember last time we said if we had some box to the power of 3, that would be whatever that box was, times itself again, times itself again. What was actually inside of that box though? It was x plus 1. So if we did x plus 1 times x plus 1 times x plus 1, it would look like this. But remember, we don't need those multiplied signs in the middle. We know when two brackets are right next to each other, it means multiplied. So we could rewrite it like this. And that means the very same thing. So, how are we going to tackle this problem? What we're going to do is we're going to start multiplying from left to right. So, what we'll do is we're going to expand this first set of brackets that we've got here. This is a little trickier, so we need to employ a pretty sophisticated strategy. We're going to put brackets around this. You might like to do larger brackets like that, or you might like to do square brackets. I don't mind which one you prefer. So we put larger brackets around that, and we're going to do FOIL on this first set of x plus 1s. Now you might be wondering, what are we doing with this x plus 1 here? We're just going to drag it down and put it down there. It's waiting to join in. Just like before, we're going to simplify what we've got here. So looking inside of this first bracket, we've got an x squared that doesn't have any like term friends. We've got plus x here. So let's put them together to get plus 2x. And then we've got a plus 1. And let's put that x plus 1 at the end. This x squared here needs to multiply with everything in the second bracket. So we're going to do x squared times x and x squared times 1. So let's do the first one. We said x squared times x. That's going to be x cubed. And then we're going to do x squared times plus 1, which will be plus x squared. So what we've done now is that x squared term has multiplied with everything in the second bracket. So you might like to put a little tick or something like that underneath it. We're now going to move to the second term, plus 2x. That plus 2x also wants to multiply with everything in the second bracket. So 2x times x and 2x times 1. So let's do that now. Positive 2x times x is going to be plus 2x squared. And positive 2x times plus 1 is going to be plus 2x. So we can do a tick under that term because that has also multiplied by everything in the second bracket. Now that plus 1 also wants to join in, so that plus 1 is going to multiply with the x and multiply with the 1. So we're going to get 1 times x will be plus x, and 1 times 1 plus 1. Don't accidentally write 2 there. I know I sometimes do that. Okay, we've nearly finished this problem. The last thing we need to do is find some like terms. X cubed is hanging out all by itself and there are no other cubed terms. I notice that we've got a plus x squared plus 2x, so we can put those both together to be plus 3x squared. Then I notice we've got a plus 2x plus x, so let's put them together to be plus 3x, and then we have a plus 1 all on the end. So remember, with this problem, every single term inside of this bracket here wanted to multiply with everything inside of the second bracket. So we started with the first one, x squared, and multiplied that with x and 1. Then we took the second term, 2x, and multiplied that with x and 1. Then the final term in that first bracket, plus 1, multiplied with x and 1. FOIL is the acronym we use when we have a regular double set of brackets, but when we have a triple set of brackets, what we did first is we FOILed the first set of brackets here, using first, outside, inside, last, and then once we had simplified that, we then continued to expand. So let's maybe note down what those steps were. And remember, with step 3, we are multiplying everything. Tricky question. Okay, our final example here. It looks like someone has already started this problem for us. It looks like we've already got 3 terms in this bracket here. So all we need to do is start multiplying each of the terms in this first bracket with everything in the second bracket. So this 2x squared is going to multiply with this 4x to start off with. 2x squared times 4x, sign number letter, it's going to be a positive. 2 times 4 is 8. X squared times x will be x cubed. Then this 2x squared multiplies with this minus 2, sign number letter, negative 4x squared. Okay, the 2x squared has finished its journey. The next thing that's getting involved is this minus x. This minus x also wants to multiply with that second bracket. So minus x times 4x will be minus 4x squared. And then minus x times negative 2 will be plus 2x. Now the minus x has finished its journey, so let's put a tick underneath it. The final term that wants to join in is the plus 7. That's going to multiply with everything in the second bracket again. So positive 7 times 4x will be plus 28x. And positive 7 times negative 2, remember we're multiplying, minus 14. Now that we've finished that, we get to enjoy the wonderful process of finding like terms. That 8x cubed doesn't have any like term, friends. So like we said, minus 4x squared is going to be minus 8x squared. Be careful with your negatives there. Then we've got plus 2x plus 28x. So that's going to be plus 30x. And then we have minus 14. Remember, we can't do any more like terms now because this is an x cubed term, the next one's an x squared term, the next one's an x, and the last one's a number. So we've finished that question. We made sure everything in the first bracket multiplied with everything in the second bracket. We simplified things down. Well done, everyone.